recording?
Yeah.
Oh, happy days.
There we go. We're back at last.
We're back.
What a fortnight. Excuse any dry coughs in the
Yeah, you're not good, are you, Stu? You're not quite right.
Yeah, I'm all right. But
Percentage-wise,
all right.
87?
I was more like 84, I think, today. I think my heart rate was about 190 in the warm-up this morning, so I knew that wasn't a good sign.
That's not a good sign.
But apologies for our absence. We
was it 2 weeks, wasn't it? Feels like ages.
It does feel like ages, isn't it?
Yeah, almost forgot what MMA was.
Yeah, but we're back now, and we're almost, our energy bars are almost back to full.
No, I'm over. I told you.
Yeah, I know. That's just...
I got the super COVID.
Yeah.
So this, I'm pretty sure this is my second dose. So I reckon, like, I got the first time I had it was probably February last year, like mid-February, and it took me out for a good 6 weeks. I was bad for 6 weeks, and then for the rest of the year, I'd never felt like I was kind of back to normal. Like my breathing didn't feel quite right. I tried to start running a few times and just felt like death. Like I just couldn't properly.
Maybe you had the original long COVID that we're talking about now. Do you know what I mean? We just didn't know about it back then.
Well, if you get the long COVID, it turns out that the short COVID gets rid of
Neutralises it.
Yeah, you need the Delta. That's the Delta variant's the antidote for it. Honestly,
yeah,
I feel better now than I have in the last 12 months.
Wow. I'm looking forward to this happening to me because that is not the case right now. This morning,
you might just be too old by now.
Yeah,
it might be too late for you. But
it's just that
a
couple of days difference really nailed me. No, it's good to be back in it, and it wasn't fun, but we're all good. And
Adam did steal my bottle, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Of course he did.
Of course,
Adam, I'm a singer. You stole my bottle. I told you.
No, if we're still doing that deal. With the expert, we must be still doing that deal with it. If you buy one of these off the Full Reptile website, you'll get a sachet of Alpha Brain, a sachet of New Moon for free. And a sachet of Boost.
Maybe that's why I'm so happy.
There's a plug. That's a sponsor plug for you.
Rubbing it in my gums.
It's as good as I've ever felt because of the new move. All good. Right, let's get these sponsor reads done. So, thank you to our sponsors for. Obviously we missed a couple of shows and stuff, which they were expecting. So thanks for being understanding. And again, we're sponsored by Unbound in our Unbound garments. The competition winners are just about to receive their $100 gift codes from the Poirier McGregor card. Surprising, no one picked Poirier to win by medical stoppage, but there was a few guys that were close enough, so they'll be on the way to you pretty soon. And as always, if you use Outlaw at the checkout, you will get 15% off your...
If you use Outlaw at the checkout, Ollie gets new T-shirts sent directly to his address.
A very funny running joke, but it's not true. But anyway...
Have you noticed I'm wearing the same T-shirt as I always wear?
Yeah, that's because you got 4 of them, that's why. I'm telling you, there's a box.
You keep saying
you've cleared this. I know you've cleared this office out.
I went through the whole room looking for potential Unbound merchandise that I've not discovered. It's not here.
Anyway, moving on. We have a new. I'm very excited about this. Sponsor.
I've not seen that grey one before. Is that?
Yes, you have. New? Stop bringing it back round. You've probably got 2 of these somewhere. It's too hot for the long sleeve though. You've had to tuck that off.
It was too warm for the long sleeves. Yeah.
So we have a new sponsor on board, Beer 52. Beer 52 is the largest subscription craft beer service in the UK. There's 170,000 subscribers.
I'll tell you what, those snacks that were in there were awesome.
That's so funny you just said that. Because I swear there were some snacks in there. Who's had them away?
Yeah, they were gone.
Anyway.
I even taped the box back up so you couldn't tell. But
so if you're into your craft beer, this is very cool. The best thing about craft beer is always their branding and their packaging.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Wicklow Wolf. That's cool.
Yeah. So we've got all kinds of beers in here. So Beer 52 will send you 8 selections of craft beers, all kinds of stuff. I think the theme this month is Croatia. So they have a load of Croatian...
Is that right?
Croatian beers.
This is a subscription, right?
Yeah, it's a subscription. So the deal we've got for everyone is if you subscribe... and they will send you the first box. They'll send it free. You just have to pay the shipping. So basically, there'll be 8 samples of craft beer for shipping, which I think is $5.99 or $5.95. And if you subscribe up, they will send you the first box for free. Just pay the shipping and you're done. And there's all kinds of different craft beers here. And then, they'll send you a box every month. Subscription service. Very cool. If you drop OP in at the checkout, that is what will activate the deal.
That's like a good gift for a dad, isn't it? Right?
It's got dad written all over it.
Like you get your mum Apple, you get your mum Apple Music, and you get your dad a beer subscription.
There you go.
Right?
Sabro City Limits, 7.5%. That one.
No.
Too many of them.
Feel that. That's like. That's
Yeah,
like the furry wall, isn't it? You're never gonna.
Imagine a subscription service for the furry wall. No, what was it called? What was the thing that they? Was it a Benjamin?
Was it? No. What was it?
I can't remember now. That's a great film.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Like I say, look how cool the branding is.
Mate,
They
I
always
have
nail
literally,
it.
as you know, I've just started drinking a bit of red wine again recently after my 22-year hiatus from alcohol, and I've not had a beer for a long time.
Well, there you go.
I might
Get stuck into the
one of
Beer
these.
52 craft beers.
I do love drinking out of a bottle. I will say that.
Oh, especially when the weather's like this.
5 points.
Put
That
them
is
in.
beautiful. Look at that.
Big
I mean, not
container,
random.
water, ice, load of beers in a bottle in there.
Yeah, I remember
Doesn't
those
get
days
any
at the
better.
skate ramp when I was 15, around the back of Asda. We'd do the same
Round the
thing.
back of
I know,
Asda.
yeah.
That's
Skate
the
ramp,
one.
and it was a shitty skate ramp as well. If you fell off that, you were full of splinters.
Yeah.
I probably still got splinters working their way.
They're
out.
way better now. We take the kids to one in
Yeah.
Woodstock. It's way better than.
Well,
Like, you didn't really have them.
People
that
sue
great.
people now, don't they,
Yeah,
for injuries?
true.
Back in my day, it was your fault if you got injured. So
Yeah,
back in my day,
yeah. Let's go back to that.
You remember? You
Go
were
back to that. Yeah.
you were in your 20s when I was at school, weren't you?
Come on now. Everybody knows there's only 3 days difference between our age. That is not a generational gap.
It is. It definitely
It's
is.
definitely not.
Well, you don't remember any of the shit from my childhood, so I'm not even buying that you're same age as me anymore.
I don't.
Like,
I
you
remember
don't
so
remember?
little. So little. I don't really know why. Maybe there's some major trauma that happened.
Training with
It's just-
Jimmy, that's what that is.
Maybe
It's
training with
actual
Jimmy
head
is
trauma.
major trauma. Miss Quince. These are cool. I like them. And thank you to Beer 52. Drop OP in at the checkout, and that will give you your first box for $5.95.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You'll have to wrap some merino t-shirts around them to stop them rattling as you steal them out the house.
I think we might gift these to the Raptors.
You reckon? Yeah.
I feel like they'd be all over craft beer.
Oh, they would, wouldn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
Seems to suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jamie. Of course, he likes a craft beer as he's stroking his face. Yeah, I like a craft beer.
Yeah. They'll be all into the branding.
After I've been barista all day,
Exactly.
I'm taking photos of
whatever.
I mean, of whatever.
Anything.
I mean, you know,
Plastic bags floating in the air.
that's a good movie,
Isn't it?
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. Very cool.
And Mena Savari. Is that her name? Mina
okay.
Savari. She's kind
I'm
of
not
funny
sure.
looking. Kind
Yeah, but like weirdly attractive.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, okay,
Fair enough.
you know.
What did you watch of the card? You didn't watch
I didn't
all of it,
watch
did
that
you?
much. I watched the main event, which was.
How'd you score it?
I can see the case.
Yeah.
I can see the case for
Did you
TJ.
Did you see Verdict MMA for the first time ever has had a drawn? They've scored the fight drawn because they do like a poll, don't they? Of Verdict
Right?
MMA.
Is that that
And
close?
it's literally.
What for the public vote? Is that
Yeah.
okay? No, I haven't seen it, but it makes sense. It was close, isn't it? It's funny, man. Like, there's still a funny taste about TJ, isn't there? Like,
Well, yeah, because I mean, he was using EPO.
yeah, but why is that so much?
I tell you
It
why.
feels worse than knowing someone's popped for,
I'll tell you
popped
why.
for gear, innit?
You watch the prelims on Fight Pass, right?
Yeah.
As it's playing through, they literally say performance enhancing drugs with the you know like the train spotting scene where he injects the fucking heroin.
Yeah.
And he falls into like this.
Yeah,
Is he in a toilet or something?
He sinks down, doesn't he?
Oh no,
Yeah.
it's like the uppercut scene out of Snatch when
Yeah.
and he's like lands in the water. Like every sort of 4 minutes, like TJ Dillashaw is sinking into a pool and they're going performance enhancing drugs. Performance enhancing drugs. I'm like, what's going on here? And then they did the fucking V said this, she read my mind. They did the hyperbaric chamber thing.
Right.
Like, we know what a hyperbaric chamber is.
Yeah.
If you see someone doing that, you're not thinking they're up to anything. But this guy's performance enhancing drugs as he's sinking through the water. And the next thing, they've got him in this metal tube and they've got this mask on him. And you're like, hang on, this is... have you sort of signed this off? This is definitely weird looking. Like it's almost like they're trying to push this bad guy thing. And TJ's even bought into it. He's even bought into it.
But
he
he's
don't
like,
care.
I don't know if smarmy is an American recognisably American word, but he just feels like a bit smarmy to me. It's like, yeah, I got caught, whatever. Like everyone's on steroids, whatever. But like, you know,
does it feel different because it's EPO though, and because people don't really? Why not?
Because they're all performance enhancing drugs. Why? Who are we to judge an EPO over test or growth or?
Well, the other thing as well, the thing that makes me a bit more kind of reluctant to back him again is EPO is not something that's tested for very often.
I don't know how he failed it.
It's a whole different test.
Yeah.
So first of all, this plays into a bit of drama. I think someone's got to have ratted him out.
Yeah.
I think someone's got to have called up the golden snitch and been a golden snitch and said...
You know that EPO test that you never use? You should bring that down here.
It's probably worth that additional $1,200 to do that test. And they've gone, just send an EPO test over to USADA. That's how it feels to me. Because I feel like you could test a few guys on the UFC roster and there might be a few guys using EPO. Like I remember when Gleison Tibau made his debut, made his UFC debut, and he come in looking like the Incredible Hulk that someone had sprayed tan. Like, he gassed immediately.
Yeah.
But then he came back next time around and that gassing problem had been solved.
Hell of a camp, that camp. We really focused on fitness. Yeah. But so, as far as I'm aware, EPO is a very transient drug. You know, like we've spoken about potentially if you abuse testosterone and growth hormone for a period of time, your body may well go to physically you may well get to levels that then you never drop. You get to a base level.
Yeah, you never drop.
Yeah, yes. You raise your basement a little bit.
Yeah.
And you never drop down there. And you would never have got there if you'd not used those drugs. As far as my understanding of EPO is very, very transient. You're on EPO and you have the benefits of the red blood cells. You come off EPO and those benefits are gone.
Right.
So if you think about it like that, then it's almost more forgivable. Not that I'm forgiving him for it, but it's more forgivable because it's just like I'm drunk and then I'm sober.
It is. I get your point. There's not the long-lasting benefits potentially like you would get with someone that's used a lot of steroids at some point in their career. However, because it's such a rare test to have done, and because they did it makes me feel like someone's ratted him out. Yeah. So that initially makes me feel a bit shifty about the whole thing. But the second thing is because they don't test for it very often, how long has he been using it?
Yeah.
Like, how many fights before that? Like, if you're fighting Dominic Cruz, why would you not want to use EPO?
Yeah.
If you're going to do
about it and you've got someone around you that is suggesting it and you're going to fight Dom Cruz, you're like, whack it in me.
Right. Like, he wasn't gonna start using something. I mean, I'm just speculating, of course, but I can't imagine he would start using something whilst he was cutting to flyweight to fight Cejudo. It would make sense that he was been using it for a little while.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
right? So then does that undermine what he's already achieved, is my concern.
Well, it reset it for me. It reset. Like, I just assumed he was on it for everything. So it's reset. You're not the champ, you know what I mean? You reset, build your career from here. That's fine. We're not going to buy into cancel culture. You fuck up and then that's it forever. You can't come back from it. Even though it sort of feels a bit like that with TJ in particular.
But it didn't feel like that with Anderson Silva for me.
Well, I know. But it should do.
But why? Is that because he's not quite as smarmy as TJ?
Yeah, that's what I think it is. I think it's. There's something in his personality. Maybe, yeah. He just sort of ignored it, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah.
I was going to start a conspiracy theory then, but I don't know if the world's ready for it. But I love Anderson Silva, of course, and I've always enjoyed, his fights and learnt so much from him. But for whatever reason, when he tested positive for steroids, I always thought to myself, oh, well, that's because...
He's getting old.
It's because he broke his leg, and he was back fighting, was it 13 months later after having that really bad leg break? So my first thought is, well, I've never had a cast on, but I've seen people atrophy.
Massively,
right?
Yeah.
So, if what was he, 40? And he's been in a cast for a few months. He's took his cast off. His one leg's looked like a fucking matchstick. So he's got on the gear because it's cheaper than protein in Brazil, and he's got his leg back to normal size. That is logically that's logical. That makes sense to me. But I also think that TJ looks like he's been on something for a while because he looks. I mean, he's got a physique on him. He's got some puffy little nipples on him as well. And you never look at Anderson Silva and go, oh yeah, no, he looks like he's using something.
Yeah, no, that does make sense, but
then he's passing the eye test and he's passing the SMARM test.
Yeah,
but I might be wrong. Because I reckon him and Chael, here's my conspiracy theory, I reckon him and Chael had an agreement before they fought the first time.
They're like, listen, we're getting on a bit.
Mate,
you want to do a bit? I'll do a bit if you're doing a bit.
Let's get double the money in the rematch.
Yeah.
He's the champion and I'm the best. It's one of the best lines that's ever been used, but it was prepared before the first fight was lost.
I think we talked about that right back in the day, around that time, that there's people with charisma and sort of charm, and they roll stuff like Conor originally seemed like it was just off the cuff. It was just Irish wit, do you know what I mean? And then there was like very, very controlled and contrived pieces of delivered banter, and it's like, obviously Chael's the king of it, right? That's what he does.
And that's the thing. Like you can tell when Conor says something off the cuff. Like one of the best ones that he ever said was the Chad Mendes one. Like when he dissed his wrestling, he went, "I wrestle my balls on your forehead."
Seems a lot less off the cuff now, right?
Sure.
It seems much more prescribed.
But he was laughing as he was saying that because he knew it was a good line. He was
himself,
just thinking, Whereas like Chael, like I like Chael's son. I like what he brings to the sport, but at the same time, I think he treads a fine line between MMA and pro wrestling.
Yeah.
With a sprinkling of politician in there, and he plays both games like a politician.
And no one's really stepped into that space before, really. Not in the same way. Like
Ben Askren kind of tried it, but didn't have the same not the same charisma as Chael. And Chael always had good lines, but they always seemed prepared.
Yeah,
but
he was sort of lent into that. It was like after
it's bad guy Inc, isn't it?
Yeah, after a little bit, you were like, oh, it's prepared, and then you were like, this is kind of fine. Like I get it's prepared. And then you sort of normalised it a little bit. You weren't expecting it to be off the cuff.
Yeah. And I don't mind that, but I also think that mentality that Chael has, that he introduces to the trash talking side of the sport, I also feel like some of that creeps over into his actual fights, and that's where it starts to...
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'm
too pro wrestling.
You kind of jumped off his back there, Chael. You were in a good position, and then you gave a good position.
What's going on here?
It was just there's a couple of times I thought that's a bit. And then obviously the old phantom tap.
Yeah,
he's a master of the.
It's not a tap.
It's like, did it?
I mean, it detracts from the fact that Dillashaw...
Well, how did you score it? First of all, you're not telling me how you scored it.
I scored it for... Well, I didn't score it. I watched it and I could see...
What was your feeling?
But I could see a case either way. Like you could definitely score that for Corey, but it probably with a bit more control than Dillashaw takes it. But the damage factor in there that, one person's got a vagina on their head at the end of that fight, and it's not Corey Sandhagen.
Yeah. I felt like, there was a point when Sandhagen was fighting Moraes, and if you listen, you can hear him say it as the fight's happening. He catches him with a shot. I can't remember what it is. He catches him with a shot, and then he shouts to his corner team, his orbital bone's gone. And immediately you start to see Moraes' eyes swell up, and then the next thing he throws a spinning kick and takes the top of his head off.
Yeah.
I think in that moment, he saw the opportunity, he saw the damage, and he capitalised on it. I think when he cut TJ, I think a part of his mind was like, I've got this now.
Yeah.
And in that moment, he just kind of pulled back a little bit because he kind of felt like now the fight was going to be delivered to him, and he took his foot off the gas and then tried to get it back a bit later on in the championship rounds when all of a sudden he realised maybe he's actually not done enough. Because TJ looked a mess, and I thought Corey looked really good in there. I think he's a better fighter, honestly. I do. I think TJ looked like the same version of himself that we saw the last time around. Like, I know he said he's brought loads of coaches in and this and that. I think he was good then, and I think he's good now, but I don't think he's any better than he was. I didn't see anything better than what I expected
in that amount of time out. And with, it might have took him a while to sort of rebound and gather himself after, obviously,
where's your confidence at with that?
But that's what we always say about performance enhancers is, you're covering something.
Yeah.
By using them, you're covering a weakness that you're either consciously or subconsciously aware of. And then what? So he's not an EPO anymore. Oh, shit, can I actually, can I go all these rounds?
Yeah. I loved it when I knew I was fighting a guy that was juicing.
Yeah,
and it happened a lot back in the day, but it's then you game plan around it. It's like I'm fighting a guy that's going to be really strong for the first 3 minutes, and then next thing his muscles are going to be burning, and I'm going to be making
let's
them.
go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you can feel those guys wilt, like genuinely, because like with their strength goes their ego, goes their self confidence, and then they're a baby that looks like a fucking muscle.
That is MMA.
I love it. I love that weakness in psychology though, because you can poke them and prod them with it.
That is MMA. Honestly, the way like I've been through sport is MMA. Is that you build yourself up to thinking you're something, and the only test they'll ever actually tell you is MMA. Are you actually who you think you are?
Yeah.
Fucking no, you're not. I think you are.
Yeah. I mean, it must feel like a massive psychological hurdle for TJ to get over.
Yeah, huge. And fair, in some ways, fair play that he's got himself back. You can only assume that he's clean, because if he's going again, you're thinking you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna get, you may well get struck twice by lightning.
Maybe.
But who knows? I sort of assume he'd be clean. Fair enough for getting himself back into contention, mate. That is a division now, isn't it?
It is. It really
Those
is.
two.
Yan.
Oscar Sterling for his Oscar performance. Rob Font, Cody Aldo's crazy, innit?
Yeah.
Stable.
Yeah. Lot of fun.
I think Corey will come back from this. I think he's destined to fight for the belt. I would suggest. Now whether how that sort of happens, I'm not sure, because it's a tricky top 4 or 5, isn't it?
I mean, he's not going anywhere. I think he's got the strength of mind to rally. I mean, he's 14-3 now.
He's tough.
And that was a close fight, and he'll be kicking himself because he would have felt like he could do more.
So how did you score it? You scored it for Corey, just?
I scored it for Corey. I gave him 3 rounds, but I'm scoring the effectiveness of his striking much higher, and I know that he had more success in the early going. And I thought TJ did well, but I just thought he was the better quality shots were landed by Sandhagen with seemingly less effort than what TJ put into the fight.
He's got a beautiful knee, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the way he timed the one on Frankie Edgar was gold, and he did the same thing against somebody else as well, somebody early in the career. There was a consistent thread, though, in the main card. There were 2 other fights that I don't know what else you watched, because I know you
a couple of the early prelims before my head exploded. Yeah.
Okay, go back and watch Yanez against Costa and Piver against Phillips, because that for me, especially the Phillips one, I find myself angry watching it, because he's got so much potential, and he just squanders it on bad decision making.
Yeah.
Like in that first round, there were probably 2 or 3 opportunities where he should have had that fight finished.
How old is he though?
He's not very old, but like, I mean, the thing is, like, his nickname now is 26. His nickname now is the Matrix, but when he was a kid and he was into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, his dad used to call him something like the Hurricane, because he's just like a tornado of energy.
Yeah.
He's going to do himself a disservice because he makes so many bad decisions and he allows his opponents back into the fight. Like he is a better fighter than Raulian Paiva.
Right.
And he gave the fight away. And then if you look at the Randy Costa fight, he landed like 50 strikes in the first round and then had nothing left for the rest of the fight. And to be fair, Yanez, it was a more credit to Yanez for turning the fight around.
Yeah.
He was a bit overwhelmed in the beginning, but he made some really nice adjustments where instead of trying to, because Randy was throwing so much in the first round, Yanez was focused primarily on defense. So he kept slipping and then returning to the same spot. But because Costa was throwing so much, he kept punching him as he was coming back on the center line. But then he started to slip and punch at the same time, or slip and then come back and counter, and then he started to turn the tide. Yeah. But Costa and Phillips, both of them, the best thing for him to do right now would be to face each other. They're not the same camp, are they?
They call it energy expenditure strategy in some of the sports. It's just about like how much can I put out there during an X amount of time before I'm going to go over the cliff, and I know I can't really come back from that cliff. It's like an energy strategy for, I'm sure the PI are looking at that stuff.
But the majority of it was bad decision making, though, especially with Kyler Phillips, because you can see how much potential he's got. It's so frustrating, and like you're like, no, just slow down a minute.
Yeah.
Like you've just hit him with a really hard shot. You can see the guy's hurt. The last thing you want to do is charge into a double leg defense, right? Yeah. Like don't just hold back a minute. Like pick your shot.
Yeah.
Like this,
you're talking experience. You know what I mean? I suppose at 26, you're hoping you would sort of be coming towards that point where you're understanding those things, you know.
I just think, I mean, that's where the challenge in the gym is for the coaches when you've got someone like that, and you need to leave them with that creativity, but try and at least nail its foundations down so it's got something to return to when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because like he's all chaos and all flair and all superb technique, and the foundations just fall apart.
The divisions are too good now. You know, I think previously that someone like that could get up to the top, but now you have to be good at everything.
Yeah.
You have to have the strategy, you have to have the flair, you have to have the technique, you have to have everything.
You do.
You know what I mean? To be the belt holder.
But like Veronica and I were having this conversation yesterday. I mean, I've spent the last 3 days working on the Lewis Gann breakdown show for BT, and there's the commodity that Derek Lewis brings to the octagon is different to what most people bring to the octagon, and it's something that they've never had to teach Derek Lewis this. He was probably a fat kid at school that was bullied, and he realised he's got a rocket of a right hand, and he won a lot of street fights just laying people out left, right, and centre. And then he walked into an MMA gym, and they've cultivated that. He's basically the square peg that you're trying to get into a round hole, which is MMA, and it's not quite round, but it's fucking going hard enough to just
jammed it in there good
way.
enough that it's
exactly.
It's like smooth the edges.
So
of it.
now what the coaches have done is they've now started to try and smooth some of the edges off this square, and now it's starting to fit in MMA a bit better. But the thing that he brings to the table, which is different to most guys, and the guy I used as an example, and by no means a discredit to him, is Tom Aspinall. He's a great fighter, really, really good fighter, talented fighter. But that war that Derek Lewis brings is unique to him in a lot of ways. Like we didn't see it in Rosenstrike. Rosenstrike doesn't bring that to the table.
Yeah.
We didn't see that against Gann. But Gann's not fighting Rosenstrike this time, who's like a tentative, 80 fight kickboxer. He's fighting Derek Lewis, he's coming to end his fucking day. And it's a different commodity.
It's a commodity you only really get at heavyweight. You just don't, like, if you have the...
I don't know,
if
but
you
like
have
Vanderlei Silva, like John Lineker.
You still had, like, you can't have his skill set at,
no.
at lightweight.
I see what you're
you
saying.
don't even get to the UFC. You don't even get off the regional scene.
I see what you're saying.
You don't have it at middleweight.
Sure.
You don't have it at light heavy, really. Heavyweight is the only place where you can just be a big, bad motherfucker with some power in your hands where you can survive, really.
I agree with what you're saying, but that's only because the filtration system in the lighter weight classes is greater. So Derek Lewis would be a great European level champion if he was a welterweight or a middleweight, perhaps.
Really?
Currently, Matthias Frederick is not a great technical fighter.
Yeah.
He's got a hell of a punch on him, and he's built his game around that.
Yeah, okay.
I would say he's a middleweight version of Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
But he brings a warlike quality to the cage, which makes him terrifying for people that don't have good striking defense and a ground game. Like, he almost overwhelmed Matt Bonner in that title defense because of ferocity alone. And I think Derek Lewis brings that to the table, and I think that's something that what I've realised about it is that it streamlines their thought process. And then you watch Kyler Phillips, who can jump in triangle you, and he can knock you out with a spinning hook kick. He doesn't bring a warlike mentality to the cage, though, because he's too interested in the fanciful shit.
He's too many options. He's got 1,000 options.
Exactly.
Whereas Derek Lewis got 3, so he just hones in all his energy and his mental capacity on 3, and that's it. That's all we have to worry about.
But the thing is, that's
brings
because
the
that's the most
to
efficient.
it, yeah.
It's because that's the most efficient thing. If you took a berserker off a Germanian battlefield, someone that's just about to charge into a Roman line, that's got probably on all kinds of wine and mushrooms and shit, they've got a head full of chaos. Like, they're not thinking, I'm going to land on these guys with a spinning back kick. They're going,
weigh all this motherfucking
exactly.
axe of those
It's the most direct thing, which is why these guys that bring the warlike attitude to the cage, they tend to go one weapon over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's this is going to finish your day fucking any time now. And other, like, Cyril Gann doesn't bring that to the table. Derek Lewis brings it to the table. But I think it can be trained into someone if they understand that this is a sport. It's war under the guise of sport. But the thing is with Derek Lewis, and the reason why he's so interesting, and maybe Ngannou to a point, But Derek Lewis, you can see that there's a rage in Derek Lewis, that it's like there's no other place for it outside of the octagon. You know?
So if you play that out, ultimately he will be beaten by someone who's technically better and has enough ferocity about them to execute that isn't linear in their one or two different techniques. They have a broad base of techniques, and they will adapt to whatever Derek is throwing at, and Derek's only going to throw a certain amount of things at him.
Exactly. Like Volkov's a good example of someone that should have never lost to Derek Lewis. And the reason he lost is because he realised that Derek Lewis wasn't particularly very good, so he undermined him.
Right.
And he got caught last 10 seconds of the third round. But he won the fight entirely up to that point.
Yeah.
Then you look at Travis Brown. Like, Travis Brown had Derek Lewis curled up almost in a ball up against the fence holding his stomach. And he was like badly hurt. And then he re-injured him with a flying knee a bit later on, but then gave the fight away because they look at Derek Lewis and they go, oh, he's done.
Yeah,
and then they run onto a massive right hand.
Yeah.
But that's that warlike attitude, is I need to end you as quickly as possible. There's no flair, there's no interest in flair, because the focus is surviving and surviving by overcoming. And I think a lot of people, especially these younger guys that are more interested in their fucking Instagram photos than anything, they lose the focus of what this sport is, which is warfare.
Violence. You sort of, I was a bit not that interested in that fight, and now that little story is sort of making me a little bit interested to see where, because Gain is a better technician, like he's clearly a better technician. I wonder where the balance is. Will Derek's ferocity overall the fact that he's clearly a better technician, or has he got enough ferocity and his technique to... Well, there you go. Well done.
Yeah.
You should be on commission.
Yeah, I mean, I've just spent the last 3
Not
days
that I'll
thinking
buy it,
about
but,
it, but it represents something that goes across the sport. And I think, I feel like it's a mentality that, obviously with us being around at the gym all the time now with the guys, it's a mentality we need to drill into these guys. Because it brings an efficiency to the way that you think about fighting as well. Because you don't
a blank canvas at the gym, innit? It is. We can... between the coaching staff, we can put in our cultural philosophy. Like, what is it? Because we've got to talk. We'll talk it into life. So we'll go up there and we'll talk it into life. This is why we're doing. This is why we're going to do it this way because of this.
Yeah.
This is our cultural philosophy. If you fight someone from our gym, expect this.
Yeah, it's going to be horrendous. It's going to be a bloodbath. Like, we're not submitting people in the first round. That is forgiveness. Like, we want Sajara Eubanks at this weekend.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's the last one that I watched. She's nasty.
Nasty. However,
nasty.
and again, this is really, really fine picking, because I thought she looked really good all the way through it. But she went for an armbar. Why did you go for an armbar? Because you wanted the fight to be over. I don't want the fight to be over. I want to enjoy this process of beating this person up. I'm not going for an armbar because that's my quick route to an end. And on the backside of that, I'm not going, if I can finish this with an armbar now, and then that negates the risk of them catching me later in the fight. The mentality is there's no opportunity to catch me later in the fight.
Will we force people? So this is very reflective of who you are and who you are as a character. Will we, if that becomes our philosophy, will we force people that aren't naturally like that into this archetype? Whereas not everybody is that. You're clearly a fighter first archetype, in the diagram that we talk about. Clearly a fighter first person, but some people that are going to come through the gym are going to be athletes who fight and they're interested in martial arts, and some people are martial artists that have the fight. Are we going to force people that aren't? They're not. Some people are going to want to take that armbar because they don't actually really, they want to get this over and done with as quick as possible. I want to win. I don't care how I'm just winning. I'm an athlete. I want to win it.
Yeah. No. I wouldn't. I wouldn't force somebody in that direction, but I would certainly explain the philosophy.
Yeah.
Because they need to understand what they're up against. Like, if they're going in, if we've got a kid that's like, I just love triangling people.
Yeah.
It's my quickest route to victory. I'm just going to do this because I can win 10 fights in a row in the first round with triangles. I can be like, I'm going to say, okay, fine, but please understand this. Because at some point you're going to come up against someone that can stop you triangling them.
Yeah.
And that person might have a mindset like me. And that person's not going to allow you to get away with anything. and they're going to make it as miserable as possible.
Yeah. Like to prepare for that mindset is like preparing for worst case, because if someone wants to out athlete you, you're just like, all right, out athlete
it gets
me,
kind of boring.
sweet.
I mean,
but
the GSP
if you get
fight was
out-fighted,
that.
then it's bloody and it's a mess.
Yeah. Like I had no fear of fighting GSP because I didn't feel like there was a part of it that wanted to hurt me.
Yeah,
and we know that that's the case now. Like, he doesn't like being in there. He likes winning. He likes to prove that he can go into a chaotic environment and take control of it, which is it's a very impressive thing to do. And and that is a way to compete in MMA. But at some point, that person that GSP represented in the sport is also going to meet a person that's got the wild mentality. Now, right now, those people might be finding their way into boxing or football or whatever because the money's better there.
Yeah.
But when the money starts to go up in MMA, it's going to start attracting some more of those people that have got the warlike mentality as well as the physical ability. And that's like, I mean,
it's the best thing to recruit. Like, from a recruitment point of view in other sports, you talk about things that you can trade into people, and you talk about things that you need to go find because it's very difficult to make a significant influence on that quality.
Yeah.
And that's where I see that. Bring the fighters in, we'll teach them to be athletes and we'll teach them to be martial artists. But you get an athlete martial artist, and then trying to teach that mentality is much more difficult because it's part of you. Do you know what I mean? It's part of it's entwined on your DNA kind of thing.
Yeah, you've got to reinforce a cracking point that is there, which immediately makes a weaker foundation. But
you see it quite quick in people, don't you? Like we know a couple of people at the gym. We know who we know who they are
for sure. Exactly, and that doesn't mean they can't get anywhere with it. If anything, it's better if they can identify that part of their character.
Yeah,
because the fake it till you make it thing is we know that works in a lot of industries, and it works in MMA as well.
To a point,
Like if you're standing, we go back to the pitch battlefield analogy because I like to return to that. Like if you're standing on one side of a pitch battlefield on the front line, you've convinced yourself that you're going to survive that day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you can't get through the next moments.
No.
So there's a delusional mentality you have to get. I actually listened to Jimmy's podcast with Raspberry Ape, and he was talking about my mentality, and that was the thing that kept me in amongst the guys that I was training with, is because it was like, I'll just come back tomorrow and try again.
Yeah.
Because it was always up against it. But then when it came to fight week, I could almost create this delusion in my head, like, how is this person? And sometimes it backfired against Condit. It backfired, but most of the time it overcame because I could put myself in a mindset where I'm standing across the cage from someone and I've paid off my debts and returned everything I borrowed because I'm here for 15 minutes or less, and you're gonna have to kill me to beat me.
Yeah.
And that alone, that commodity that you bring, it will wade you through a lot of bad situations, even if you don't have the technique to do it. But if there's a cracking point, you make one bad decision after the next, and you find yourself you're tumbling downhill and you can't get back, and you have to be really good technically to patch that gap.
Yeah, I won't mention his name, but I had a good conversation. It was an impromptu conversation with the guys at the gym, and he was like, "Ollie, when I crack someone on the chin, I'm aroused. It arouses me."
I know exactly who that is.
He was like, bro, it arouses me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fucking hell, all right. Like, we know which quadrant he sits in, do you know what I mean? We know who he is.
Yeah.
We know what we can, we'll teach him to be an athlete. We'll teach him some more. He has a high skill set already, but we'll teach him some more martial arts.
Yeah.
And that,
I see it in his head when because sometimes, when Jimmy was doing that technique today where he was rolling people over, and he was like, and just make sure you don't crack their neck or anything as you're going over. And then there was a little pause, and I went, unless it's a fight. And then he went, yeah, that's what I thought. And I could see his mentality. It's like, how do I hurt this person as quickly as possible?
Bro,
doesn't matter how pretty it is, doesn't matter how flamboyant it is.
Yeah.
Some of the best knockouts are a clean right hand. I mean, look at that Neuer Inoue knockout where we saw him drill it on the pad, splitting the guy's right hand, and then he landed it. It's just that, makes the hairs on my arms stand up. I'm like, that. Not quite that level of arousal, perhaps.
I also know who that's not, if I actually amazingly actually catch someone, I'm like, oh shit, you're right. It's just different,
yeah, but I would be if I was in the gym.
Yeah.
I don't get anything off hitting somebody in the gym. I feel like I've lost control there.
Yeah, but like if you just land something that you were trying to land, and
Yeah.
it clip it, whatever. Then I'm just. Ooh.
I don't hurt people accidentally, Ollie.
Well, there you go. There's another difference.
You know what I mean? I don't do it.
All right, we better crack on with this.
Yeah, we've gone off on all kinds of tangents. We're all right. We're doing all right for batteries.
3 hours already. So fight night coming up. Hall, Strickland, main event. Where are we at? What's the first one you got? Benoit and Adashev is what I've got.
Yeah.
This is going. Here you go. Here's some fireworks.
Yeah.
Start off the card. I see what they've done here.
Dude, Ryan Benoit is a good fighter.
Yeah, he's on it.
He's had some real struggles.
Skidding, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's Ricky Lundell's, right? He works with Ricky.
He does work with Ricky Lundell.
Yeah.
I think he was working with the guys at PKG for a while as well.
Right.
Chad George and a few of those. Yeah, he travels around. I think he's been in New York as well. He's a good fighter. He's a technically really good fighter. He's had some hard matchups.
Took Brandon Moreno. I know it's a while ago. And I don't know whether it's a current insight into who Benoit is, but he took Brandon Moreno to a split, right?
Yeah. Stopped Sergio Pettis as well.
Yeah. He's had a terrible skid. He hasn't won since 2017, I think.
Yeah, it's rough. 2017 against Ashkan Mokhtarian.
Yeah.
He is a talented fighter. He's a good fighter, and I think this is a good matchup for him. And I'll tell you why. Is because I watched Adashev's both of his fights in the UFC, and he runs onto punches.
Yeah, that's
he runs onto punches like that one against Tyson Nam. It was a low kick counter, wasn't it?
Like he flurries forward, doesn't
it? And he did the same thing against Sumadurgi, caught him with the counter right hook as he was moving in, dropped him.
Tyson Nam hit him like a wave off the North Shore of Oahu. He hit him so hard, didn't it? It was unbelievable. Perfect timing.
That's all Tyson Nam talks about though. If you interview him, he's like,
do you remember that?
Long as I hit him on the chin with this, and it's the answer to every one of his questions. It's like, so how's training camp going? It's like, yeah, bro, as long as I hit him on the chin with this. I'm like, so you're gonna knock him out then, are you? Any interest in submissions, dude? As long as I hit him on the chin with
No, he traded inside leg kick, didn't he? With a devastating right hand.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good. It's like two styles coming together that suit Benoit, right?
Yeah.
It's Benoit, not Benoit, right?
No, it's Benoit.
Benoit, I did listen to the commentary, but you can't always.
Yeah, I think it's Benoit if you're from America, and it's Benoit if you're from Canada.
Right. Okay.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah. You would think Adashev's probably going to blast forward in it, and Benoit's going to catch him because he's got a lot of power, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has
a lot of power in his hands, and I think he's got a really nice left body kick.
Mm-hmm. He's got good counter punching. You know, he was catching Tim Elliott on the way in. I thought he looked good in that fight. I thought he was unlucky. I mean, Tim Elliott's just a madman anyway.
Yeah,
really difficult to predict.
Yeah,
but Benoit is a good counter puncher, and he's got a good level change takedown as well. And I've not seen a great deal of Adashev's wrestling. He looks more like a striker to me, switching stances and stuff. But yeah, he runs onto stuff too much for me. Yeah. I think Benoit's going to be too good for him.
What a name!
What?
Orion Cosce.
Oh, right.
Nicknamed the Galaxy, of course. How else? What else would you be named?
Yeah. Undefeated, 7-0.
Yeah, no. Alpha Male. Did you see him at Alpha Male when you were over there?
Who's that, sorry?
Orion Cosce.
No, I didn't.
No.
See that, no.
He's at Alpha Male, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's fighting Philip Rowe, who's... he's in Vegas, isn't he? I sparred with him a little bit at the PI last time we were there.
He's had quite extensive experience if you had his amateur career in there. He had a decent amateur career.
Philip Rowe?
Yeah, Philip Rowe, yeah. Like he's 18 fights deep and a couple of grappling bouts. He's tall and he's 6'3" at welterweight.
He is. And if you look at Cosce's amateur record, he's got 2 first-round armbar wins, which is always a concern for someone with long arms. I can imagine Philip Rowe catching him, clipping him, knocking him down, and then running into his guard and offering an arm.
Yeah, Rowe plays that like he skirts a lot, doesn't he? He skirts around the outside, and I thought he was doing all right with Gabe Green. Like he was doing some really really nice bits.
I think Gabe's a puncher, isn't he? And he doesn't mind wading forward to land power shots, especially if he's fighting someone taller.
Yeah. The
problem that Philip Rowe's always going to have is that people are trying to close him down. So he's got good lateral movement. He's got good low kicks. He's got a good Muay Thai skill set. I think Orion Cosce is just going to try and close him down.
I think he's going to do the same. What he did to Dixon, I think he'll do the same sort of thing. He'll close him down, put him on his back, try and grab.
Long limbs,
Yeah.
arm bars and crucifixes are easy.
Or sit in half guard and,
Yeah.
and beat him up.
Yeah.
The early stand-up will be interesting, whether Rowe can sort of catch him.
I'd be digging calf kicks if I was him. Try
Yeah.
and slow that forward movement down. Because then he can at least pick him off with his long-range jab. You've got to slow him down first.
Cosce overall, you reckon? Close.
Yeah, I think it is quite a competitive fight. I think they've both got ways of winning. I just think that I think more than likely Cosce is going to be able to close Rowe down.
Yeah.
You know,
Get
I mean,
hands on him.
this is it's a fight night, isn't it? So it's at the Apex again. So it's
Yes,
in
it's
that
small.
tiny phone box octagon.
Yeah.
Phone box. That was so unfair having Stipe fight Ngannou in that, and then they give Cyril Gann a football field to fight Derek Lewis on. That makes no sense at all, does it?
No, like...
I saw him comment on that one post the other day. Did you see Stipe?
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yeah.
A couple of
yeah.
the news outlets picked it up because he.
Why is he out of contract?
No, he's not, is he?
No, I don't know.
What he was saying in the comments is that he didn't get an immediate rematch,
Oh, right.
and he's had the most title defenses in the heavyweight division,
Yeah.
and he should have got an immediate rematch because DC got
Yeah.
immediate rematches, and obviously now he's not, and now obviously Ngannou's not fighting, and
Yeah.
we've got an interim belt that we don't need.
Not great, is it?
Clusterfuckery.
Yeah, innit? Do
Word of
what
the
they
day.
want.
Ding.
Clusterfuckery.
Clusterfuckery.
So did you pick Orion Just?
I didn't pick. No, you picked Orion.
All right.
I'm
Just
going to
keep
side
saying
with
it
Phil
until you,
Rowe
like,
because I
agree.
think he's got some good footwork, and I think I'm going to go the opposite way.
All right.
I like the guy anyway.
Nice.
Okay,
Oh, we're just picking friends now, are we?
of course we are.
Okay.
Got no allegiances anymore. We do it like the fuck we like. Outlawed motherfuckers.
Officially out.
Okay,
Feels good.
it does feel good, right? Trevin Jones against Ronnie Lawrence.
Man, I think we've spoke about it before, but Trevin Jones's fight with Valiev was
great.
insane,
Especially because he was high as shit as well at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah, that was the no contest
Fucking
right at the
no
end.
contest.
Yeah,
I feel
maybe that's
bad
how he
for
got
him.
through it. That
Right?
savagery body shot that wrecked him.
Oh,
And
that
then
would
he
feel
just
worse.
He just came back
surely.
to yeah, maybe.
But that Bautista knockout was awesome. Lead uppercut.
Yeah.
Right under the chin.
See that too often, do you? I mean, you see it sort of cycles through, and you do see it, but you don't see it that often.
No, not very often.
High risk because of the angle that it leaves you to the overhand right. Is that why it's?
Yeah, I mean,
you can't use it too much.
I think it's quite a useful punch. I think it's quite a useful punch as a setup to follow.
Yeah.
Like oftentimes people will use that lead uppercut to set up a cross. You know what I mean? But it will be the first punch of a movement,
Yeah.
and not the knockout punch.
Yeah.
And I just think he's very quick off the mark. You know, he's southpaw as well, which means he can come inside the lead hand, and he's punching across the chin, which is turning the head. I think this is a really competitive fight. I think Ronnie Lawrence obviously has got the wrestling advantage. I mean, even worst case scenario, he seems to be able to finish the majority of his takedowns.
Yeah, he plays around with a lot of sweeps and and trips and stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, his amateur debut was on a show called Scientific Street Fighting.
Was it really? Yeah. That sounds like a
love it.
Discovery Channel documentary or something.
Yeah, the numbers behind street fighting.
Oh yeah, scientific street fighting.
I don't know if
And then on to Caged Chaos.
yeah, same.
Love it.
He's probably not got the one punch knockout power as he running compared to, obviously Trevin's got a couple.
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's got a couple of
Super
What's that,
athletic,
1,
Trevin,
2,
man.
3?
He's going to be hard to get his hands on, but if Ronnie does get hold of him, he could pose a few problems.
Yeah. He reminds me a little bit, the way he moves reminds me a little bit of Michael Johnson, but he stands more upright, not as heavy on his lead leg, which I think works for him because, that lead leg's going to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
I think he's a slick striker, and I think if he's patient, Ronnie's going to have to come to him, and that's where his uppercuts and counter strikes come into play.
Yeah.
But I think most likely Ronnie's going to get his hands on him and be able to ground him,
Beat him up a bit.
beat him up.
Yeah, right.
Probably a decision for Ronnie, I would say. Should be a good scrap though. I do like
Yeah, it
both
should
of
be
them.
fun, shouldn't it?
I think they've both got potential, but I don't know. I mean, was it the Contender Series? Ronnie Lawrence got that big lump on his eye.
Oh, is that where he come through? He come through that?
He was still finishing takedowns, even though you thought to yourself, you can't take any more shots on that eye. It must have been paining him.
Ashley Yoder and Ju Frey.
Yeah.
Yoder's in a tough spot, isn't she? She's 8-7. She's almost at 50-50 there.
Yeah. But then you can say the same for Ju Frey since she's come over to the UFC. She's not had a good
it
time
outside
of
of
it.
UFC, didn't she?
Yeah, she was Invicta champ.
Yeah.
Good athlete, very strong.
Oh, man, she had it rough with Look Boomy, didn't she?
Yeah.
Just like peppered.
Yeah.
I watched it back. I remember watching it, and then I watched it back a couple of days ago, and she just got peppered. The kicking game of Look Boomy was just horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. And the elbows. Yeah.
I think if we consider their skills to be about even, I think this is where Ju Frey's physicality comes into play.
Because she's solid, isn't she?
Yeah, she's
good shape.
That's the difference between the two. Like in the fights that Ashley Yoder's had, even though she's had clear, jiu-jitsu ability, technical skills in her to her advantage, sometimes she just didn't have the strength and the physicality to make anything happen.
Yeah.
Like sometimes she'd just been put in bad positions and not been able to scramble out of them.
She lost to Angela Hill last time out, but
Yeah.
Angela Hill smashed it that day.
Yeah.
Didn't she? She looked as
She
good
does
as
look
probably,
good. Angela
yeah.
Hill does. I think
She looked as good as I'd sort of seen her. She just took the fight, just grabbed it and took it.
Yeah. Was it Randa Marcus or Lavina Souza that there was just too much for Ashley Yoder, and it looked like a strength thing more than anything. I think it might have been Lavina Souza.
Yoder's a bit bigger than her, I think. She might be a few inches taller than her,
Let's have a look on stats.
Quick look.
4 inches. 4 inches taller, 4-inch reach advantage, both southpaw. Slightly higher striking output for Ashley Yoder. About the same striking defense. Slightly more takedowns for Ashley Yoder, but
It might be a bit closer than I
83.
thought.
No, I think it's a really competitive one.
Yeah.
I just feel like although Yoder's going to be taller and have a reach advantage, I think Ju Frey is going to be stronger, and I think that's going to look to be the difference in this fight. In the clinch, she's going to be stronger. In grappling exchanges, she's going to be stronger. They're both good grapplers.
Yeah, surely Yoder's game plan is to put her on her back and control her, right?
You would think,
Yeah.
but then I think she might be comfortable fighting off her back as well, which means she might accept positions that she doesn't want to be in for long.
We're not about that life, are we?
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I just feel like Ju Frey, she always kind of underperforms, but it's not because she doesn't have the ability to. It's something in her head's not, you know what I mean? Sometimes she holds back. Or
She's quite clever, I think. I think she's got she's done a couple of different university degrees and stuff. I don't want, speculating. But
maybe a bit
she's
over analytical.
Yeah,
maybe. I think I'm going with Ju Frey. Anyway.
Yeah.
And this next one should be fun, but Kai Kamaka's just kind of fallen off a little bit, hasn't he?
These two are going to beat the shit out of each other.
They are.
Bad.
They are.
Yeah.
I think it was his debut I called Kai Kamaka. Tony Kelly, it was. He fought on... Oh, no, I didn't call that. I feel like I've called one of his fights. He fought Tony Kelly. That was a hell of a performance. Like nice striking combinations, digging low kicks in, working some really, really good body shots. But then he's had 2 losses to Jonathan Pierce where he got stopped in the second, and then that split decision to TJ Brown.
Yeah. He's got... I don't know whether you'll sort of concur with the phrase, but he's got good posture discipline.
Yeah.
Like in the chaos of the sort of fight. Charles Oliveira does it. He's like chaos, but he always sort of resets back to a really nice, solid, like technical posture. Sort of no matter what, really.
Yeah.
But Chavez is nasty, man. He's got fast hands and he's got a hard kicking game, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like
I was
real
impressed with
super
him
hard.
against Jared Gordon because I think Jared Gordon's
Tough.
Yeah, he's a hard fight for anybody.
He seems to throw like everything at 90% plus. He's just like wailing.
Yeah.
Not wailing as in shit technique, but he's putting
Letting them go.
Yeah,
for sure he lets them go. But then he's got the conditioning to back it up. I mean, he was fighting hard into the last 30 seconds against Jared Gordon. And he's got a win over TJ Brown, who's got a win over Kai Kamaka. So if MMA math is anything, Danny Chavez should win this.
Just Danny.
Yeah.
Just. But it should be fun, shouldn't it?
It should be.
I'm pretty sure they're going to beat the shit out of each other.
Like you said, Kai Kamaka's got good discipline with his posture.
Yeah.
He's got fast hands, he's got good low kicks. He might be able to do enough. But it's going to be a hard fight.
They're both going to limp the next day, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to be sore plane rides home.
Yeah.
So which way are you going? Chavez.
Chavez, yeah.
Okay.
Just.
Chris Gruetzemacher.
See, someone said Gruetzemacher on the commentary, but does not look like a grits, does
Of course
it?
they did. Did you hear Dominic Cruz calling Andre Ewell Ewell? What the fuck?
Do you not get
What's
like
his
a
name, Wicket?
pronunciation list?
Ewell.
Like,
Yeah, no,
say it like this.
no, we get an email with all the the sound recordings. So when a fighter
right.
joins the UFC, someone goes up to him and says, "Say your name." But the problem is, first of all, because I used to get into discussions with John Gooden left, right, and centre about this because he's a stickler for pronunciation.
Yeah.
But he does it one particular way. John Anik does it another way.
Yeah.
So like Karolina Kowalkiewicz, right? It's a Polish name, Kowalkiewicz. To Americanize it, John Anik calls her Kowalkiewicz, just like they call Jan Blachowicz, which is Blachowicz.
Yeah.
But the other problem is though, if you have someone record their name, they say it with their accent, and then the second time they say it slowed down.
Yeah.
So if you have Jan say his name, he'll say Jan Blachowicz, and then he'll go, okay, now slow it down. And he goes Jan Blachowicz, and then it becomes Blachowicz, and then it becomes Blachowicz, and it gets twisted and changed, and it becomes a mess.
You've got to say it with your accent. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Like Darren Stewart and Darren Till. You can have the same name recorded by two people that say it
Darren.
entirely differently.
what?
Yeah. So are you going to say it on commentary with his accent as well?
Yeah,
It just sounds weird. His
Mate,
name's Dave.
In Super Rugby, they had an Argentinian team called the Jaguars.
Right.
And all the commentators were calling the Jaguares. And you're like, just say it as Jaguars. Like, you're English or you're Australian or whatever. Just say Jaguars.
That's,
What are you doing?
Yeah. It is odd when that happens. I'll tell you another one that John and I got into about was Zhang Wei Li.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, John had listened to the audio file and was convinced it had a Zheng sound to it.
Right.
Which is, it may have on the audio sound, but it's quite a common Chinese name. Like Zhang, it's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Like if you've watched martial arts movies for...
There's a Bond movie. There's a Bond villain called Zhang, isn't there?
There you go.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Zhang!
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, we used to get into it all the time about the names, but
Anyway, Gruetzemacher.
Yeah.
Rafa
Against Rafa Garcia.
It was not very nice to see, but Gruetzemacher beat the shit out of Joe Lozon, didn't he?
He did.
And it was just one of those where it's like, it's just a little bit late. It's just a little bit late.
A bit too much.
You've been in some bad fights and you're a legend, and it's I don't want to see this.
Yeah. But that's kind of Gruetzemacher's style. It's either going to go that way for him or that way against him. Like if you look at his fight against Anthony Hernandez, who it looked basically like two guys that had similar skill sets, but one of them had trained for the fight and the other one hadn't.
Yeah.
And Gruetzemacher just couldn't keep up with his hand speed or his power, and he ended up getting beaten up pretty good in a round.
Yeah.
And
He's gonna beat up or get beat up by
Exactly.
one way or another. Yeah.
I think that's like, I think the UFC have a handful of those kind of fighters. They're like, okay, we need a Clay Guida for this guy. We need a Darren Elkins for this guy. We need
there's someone. What's his name? Further up the card is like Sam Alvey. Is like
another one. Yeah,
how are you still hitting him? We'll talk about him in a bit. But
he's either going to have a good workout and a
yeah.
punch bag, or he's going to be a punch bag for someone else.
Yeah.
John Vellante. You know, Alaya Quinta to an extent falls into that category, but he's obviously a higher end version.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. I mean, Chris Gruetzemacher's on the roster because, well, his nickname's Grits. I mean, he's gritty. He's going to dig it.
Had some nice hand fighting and inside elbows in that Lozon fight.
Yeah. I mean, he cut him up pretty good, didn't he? He had a big gash on his forehead here. It's just one of those kind of fights, and I think Rafa Garcia comes in better condition, and I think he comes in to do some damage. I mean, Hak Parast is a good fighter, right?
Isn't he?
Hak Parast is a good fighter, and that was his UFC debut as well. It's not an easy debut.
No, not at all.
You look
especially
at
when you look at Hak Parast now, like how
yeah.
he sort of developed. You're like, oh shit, that's a big debut.
Yeah. And and he was unbeaten up to that point. It was his UFC debut. You look at the other fighters that he's got on his record, and it's not like he's been fighting bums, nobodies.
No,
like, his last three
Combate
fights.
Mexico, isn't he? That's who he's been streaked through everyone there.
Yeah, I mean, what has he had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fights in Combate.
Yeah,
And
he's
he's
12-1 with 7 subs. I think.
He's got a win over Humberto Bandenay, who's 18-7. Eric Gonzalez, who's 10-3. Estevan Payan, who's 17-12. I mean, that's not the best of records, but it's a guy that's got a lot of experience, and he was taking him on in his 9th fight.
Yeah.
So he's prepared for UFC level, I think.
Like he stood with Nasrat, and I think even in the cornerman, we're like, all right, are you happy now? Like, if you sort of like, can we just go to our game plan now? Because I know you're not going to listen until you've had it up with him standing because you want to prove your point. But he sort of like that first round, it was all square, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. I just think he's going to be a bit more prepared.
Yeah, I think he's got too much, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got too much. I think the gunslinger style of Gruetzemacher might backfire a little bit.
Yeah. It's finite, and he's 35.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing, yeah. Yeah. Rafa.
Okay.
Lock Rafa in.
Okay. Colin Anglin.
Yeah.
Against Melsik Baghdasaryan.
That's what I've got. Baghdasaryan.
What's your initial thoughts on this one? Because they've both only got 1 loss on their record. Baghdasaryan's one of Ronda's mates, training out of head movement. With
don't
him out of
even.
fucking Game of Thrones. Targaryen.
Yeah.
Oh, is it Targaryen? It's not Targaryen. That's the Game of Thrones one. I always get them wrong. Targaryen, I think it's.
Is he still going?
Edmund. Yeah, of course he is.
Shit.
He's yelling head movement at this very moment. Yeah. No, he's a good boxing coach. He didn't have much success with Ronda's boxing.
Is he actually all right? He's
got a decent few guys fighting out of the gym, and I mean, he's got Shabazian, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's one of his guys.
I think a bit of a yes man relationship with Ronda, you think?
I don't know. I don't know.
The hype.
I don't know. Some people just can't strike. Some people just can't grapple. Yeah. And Ronda might have just been one of those people that she's just never going to be a good striker.
Yeah.
But the problem was that if he gave her the confidence that she was a good striker when she actually wasn't.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You're really good at judo. We can strike when we're doing judo. So do judo first.
But judo first.
Yeah.
Well, Fight Pass has been Fight Pass. I couldn't watch his contender fight the other day.
No, you have to watch the full version and skip through.
Yeah, is that right? Can you not find it either?
I figured out the hacks.
So I went back and watched his...
Since they cancelled my fucking account, bastards.
Did they?
Finally.
The final.
The final. That's it. They're doing what they can. That's all right.
All right, we'll buy one. God, relax. $4.3 million.
No, for the first time ever, I watched it illegally just as a fuck
Did you?
Yeah, mate. It felt good.
Fair enough.
It felt good. I'm not going to mention it.
Shitty Fight Pass wouldn't let me watch it, so I watched his K1 fights. He's pretty good, man.
Yeah, Melsik you're talking about.
Yeah. So he got to the quarterfinals, didn't he, of the... what weight is we got? Yeah, quarterfinal Grand Prix. He got
the K1 K1 World Grand Prix 2018.
Yeah, but I think he got injured. He won it and then he got injured and then couldn't progress through to the final. But he's aggressive, man. He's got aggressive kicking game. His hands are good. He's got a really aggressive counter kicking game.
Yeah, he did a lot of clinch work against the last guy he fought, Dennis Bazookaja.
Pass.
I watched the fight on mute, so I don't know. I didn't hear the pronunciation of his name. But yeah, if I remember right, he was clinching him a lot up against the fence, using a lot of head movement. Yeah, I think Anglin's gonna want to grapple with him, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's what I had down, and Anglin doesn't particularly look that comfortable under fire, and I feel like Melsik's going to bring some fire, and if he's not comfortable with that, he's going to get caught, and he's almost certainly going to try and put him on his back.
Yeah. Which way?
I think Melsik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a bit green. Anglin's a bit green. He looks like he's fighting off adrenaline. Like it's still like a bit wide-eyed.
A little bit.
We'll see. But Melsik for me, I think.
And you know that Melsik's going to have a wider kickboxing background as well than what's on his Tapology. Let's have a quick look, see if we can get to it on Wikipedia. Here he is. 11-2 kickboxing with 4 knockouts. 9-2 with 4 knockouts. Oh, he's had a boxing career as well. He won a WLF title in 2015. I mean, good hands. Yeah, I think we'll see.
Yeah, Melsick for me.
I think Melsick, but yeah, we'll see. Okay. This one, I think, is going to be a bit of an upset because I think most people will be expecting Nico Montano to win this one.
Yeah, I am.
You are?
Yeah, you think it's going to be an upset? You know, she's had more cancelled fights than she's had fights.
Is that right?
Yeah, have a look on her record. I think she's got 8 cancelled fights and her record's 4-3. So she's had it rough.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to win this fight.
No, she's beaten Roxy, she beat Lauren Murphy, De La Rosa.
Yeah.
Took Pena to a decision.
True.
Like she's got some runs on the board. She's out of Jackson Wink, you'd expect she's of a level coming out of there.
Yeah, she beat Roxanne in 2017 though.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it, when you look. You just sort of never know who were you in 2017 compared to now is a lot different, isn't it? She win tough. I think she won tough.
Yeah,
though.
she was the champ.
Yeah.
She champ. She was the inaugural champ. I think that Wu Yanan she's a difficult fight because she's big and she's aggressive. She makes a lot of noise when she's striking. She never ever seems to slow down.
Striking. It's like upper body earn.
That's how you punch.
Yeah.
I think she's going to continue to turn corners. She's been active. Her last fight was against Jocelyn Edwards. At the start of this year.
That's tough.
It was a good fight, that was, and I think Jocelyn Edwards is good as well. But I mean, she's aggressive, she's fast, she's big. I think as long as she can keep this one on the feet, she might be all right. But then she's still got the armbar win over Lauren Mueller as well. I'm calling a bit of an upset here, just because I think Nico Montano has been out for so long.
She's only 1 from 4 in the UFC. Is she from the PI?
I don't think she is. No. I don't think she is. I don't know. I think
she'd do well to be around at 1 and 4. I wonder if it plays into the business model that we need that Chinese market. We'll give them
maybe, but then she was 9-1 coming into the UFC. The one fight that she's won, she won by armbar in the first round, and the other 3 fights that she's had were all good fights.
Yeah.
You know, she's had good scraps, and they've been back and forth. She's aggressive. She doesn't mind taking a few risks. I just feel like, especially because she's young, isn't she? I mean, she's 25. I feel like she's going to be adding new things to her game, whereas Nico at 32 and has not fought since 2005. I think
she's not fought.
Sorry,
since
not fought in 2005.
Jeez,
not fought since not fought since 2019. I don't know. I don't know. Lots of cancelled fights, lots of half training camps, and them not coming to, and anxiety because the fight's coming up and then it's not, and then you're like hanging around and you're discouraged and you don't want to get into another training camp. I mean, that's 6 cancelled fights in a row.
Mad, isn't it?
It's not good for your mental state. That's not.
No, or your bank balance.
Yeah. She might not have been training. She might have to be delivering for UPS or no. Nobody delivers for UPS, do they?
I don't think so.
They just take your money and fucking throw your package in a pit.
Come get it if you want it.
You fucking useless.
Yeah.
I've had someone chasing me. They're like, "You owe UPS money." I'm like, "Okay, UPS can fucking ask me for it then."
Yeah.
And I've contacted UPS and they're like, no, I don't know what you're talking about."
Oh yeah, it might be a scam.
It definitely is a scam. Definitely is a scam. I wasted 20 minutes of their time the other day. Eddie Bravo used to be wicked at it, He'd teach a whole class and just burn someone's time who were trying to sell him something. Honestly, his phone would ring halfway through a morning class and he'd answer it, and then the person would be they'd be trying to sell him some kind of medication. It's a different culture in America. I don't really understand it, but they're calling him up and they're offering him this, and he's got this whole class of people, 50 people on the mat sitting there, and he's halfway through teaching a technique, and he's like, I need some big dick pills. I need some big dick. I need some big dick pills. I need some Viagra. And he's going through his whole list of stuff, and he's leading this person on who thinks that they're going to make a massive sale off this idiot who's lost his credit card down the side of the sofa, and he will muffle it and then mute him and teach a technique.
I wonder what.
And then he's like, "No, I think my kid's stolen my credit card and they've been using it on there. Just one sec. They just once click, and then he teach another part, and he keep him on the phone for 40 minutes.
That shit must work, right? Because as soon as someone is on the phone and trying to say, it gets to the point where you don't even say, "Listen, bro, I'm good. Thanks for calling. I'm out." He's just gone. But it must work. Otherwise,
must.
people would stop doing it, right?
It must. There's hundreds of thousands of people sitting in call centres cold calling people right now.
Like, it feels like it shouldn't work. Like, we're too... It's guys, like a bygone way of doing it.
I think they realise that it doesn't work on most people.
Yeah,
and I think they're just
but
fishing
I wonder
for
what
the
percentages.
idiots.
Like, what if they're like, yeah, we nailed it, we're at 10%.
All I need are your bank account details. That's exactly what it is, though.
You have won $100 million.
£82, 50. Fucking phone jacker. What a great show. Okay, are we moving on? I think
yeah, so you're going Yanan,
Upset.
and I'm going Montano.
Okay.
Now I know you definitely are going to like Lazezz.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely going to like it.
Of course. He's throwing a flying knee on his Tapology page underneath an underpass covered in graffiti, which for some reason was always the backdrop the UFC wanted to shoot me on for all the fucking countdown stuff. It's like, am I a graffiti artist or something here? Yeah, no, he's good. The sniper
man is well, like the fight with Wally Alvez was exceptional that night. He just
he's very hot and cold though, isn't he?
Like, just came at him, didn't give him a second to breathe. And I think probably looking at it is the only way he could have beaten him was just to take his space and take his oxygen away from him. And he beat the shit out of him that night, and that was a very, very good win for Alvez, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
But going back to Lazezz versus Al Hassan, that was just such a fun fight to watch. Like, there was some combinations of techniques that we don't really see very often in the UFC.
Was that
and
one
he was
where they
smiling
ended?
and laughing and at one stage he's obviously read the leg kick, turned and looked as he checked it and just went it was like he was seeing everything in slow-mo. It was wicked. His elbows, his leaping knees, man. I like him.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch. And I think you're right with Wally Alvez. Like, he's very hot and cold. He's very Vitor Belfort.
But he just got it right that night, didn't he? And it just
if he shows up, he's lethal. But if he doesn't show up, then
he's been around, man. He's been around. He's fought a lot of people.
Time. Yeah. He's got some good wins on his record as well. I mean, Sasha Palatnikov's a really talented fighter. Good fight. What do you reckon to Stolze say though?
Well, aside from what we've just said, he's a good. He's a good kickboxer. He can strike. I don't think he's got. I don't think he's got the variety of attacks that Lazezz has got.
No. If you look down his record, the times when he's hurt people, most of the time it's been with a kick.
Right. Yeah.
Like, that's where he generates
He's not
most
going
of
to
his
be
power.
trading kick for kick with Lazezz.
Not really.
I would suggest.
But then on the flip side to that, Stolze's got good grappling skills. He's good at taking the back. He's got
a little bit of offensive grappling from Lazezz in the Al Hassan fight.
Yeah.
He shot a double a couple of times, put him on his back. I think
you're always going to waste energy against Al Hassan trying to take him down. Though he's got a good judo base, hasn't he?
I think he might have put him on his back once.
Did he?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure.
How do they match up stats wise? Let's have a quick look at that. Yeah, this fight just shows you how deep the welterweight division is. I mean, both of these guys, 12-4 and 10-2. They're both. Oh no. Oh, Lazezz is 87. Okay, so he's
all right. It's getting on a bit.
He's not had many fights for that age, has he? Both 6-1.
No, but has he got a kickboxing? Has he got a kickboxing record?
Oh, that's a good question.
I thought.
I think. Oh no, not on Wikipedia. He hasn't. I feel like he has. I feel like I researched him a couple of times, and he's got more experience doing something else than. Yeah.
Must have. Right.
Must have.
At that age. Oh yeah. No, he's got nothing on his topology either.
I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see his ground game tested in this one.
Yeah, you reckon?
I do. Or at least
that'll be
clinch
shame.
work. Yeah,
that'll be a real shame. I think it's going to be a bit. It could be a bit of a burner if he gets into Stolze's head and tries to keep it standing. It could be one of the better fights of the night. But yeah, you might be right. You would suggest that Stolze's best path to victory would be down that route, wouldn't it?
I think so. I think Stolze is a good striker, but I think the majority of the time his striking wears someone down, weakens them until they shoot on him and he takes their back in the process, or he closes them down and clinches them. Because there's only so long you can stand in front of someone hitting them before you're like, okay, let me switch this tactic up. Yeah. He does have a good head kick. I remember watching that early in his career. Third fight, he won by head kick, first round head kick. but the majority of his finishes, it's ground and pound, rear naked chokes. I think he's got 3 rear naked chokes and an armbar. Yeah.
I mean, Lazezz for me, I think, just because of the sort of excitement that he's going to bring to it, and the
you reckon he might be able to catch him one of them flying knees if he's level changing?
Or his elbow games and open him up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It might be fight of the night, that one.
Could be, couldn't
might
it?
steal the show. Although Brian Barberena's on the card as well.
He's like a technical brawler, Barberena, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like he does brawl, but it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing.
But he's the spoiler, isn't he? I'm talking of Wally Alves. This is someone that, he came into the UFC. So who did he beat? He beat, Joe Ellenberger, and then he lost to Chad LaPrice. But then he beat Sage Northcutt, which was not supposed to happen. He was supposed to be a gimme
That's not
for
the
Sage.
script. That's not the script you were given.
No. He was supposed to be a gimme for Sage at 10-3. Sage was 7-0. And then he went on and fought Wally Alves. And they were like, this is definitely not going to blow up in our face twice. And he put a first loss on Wally Alves. And then he lost by decision to Colby Covington.
Yeah.
He's got a decision loss to Colby. He's got a decision loss to Leon. A decision loss to Vicente Luque. Oh, no, he got stopped by Luque.
Yeah. Because
he's stopped a couple of times recently.
Because he's a brawler, he struggles with the elites, the sharpshooters, doesn't he? A little bit.
Plus, he's not the best of athletes. If you look at him against some of the other guys he's faced, I mean, I think he was able to hang with Colby to an extent because Colby's not the biggest of welterweights. But Leon was all over him. Like Leon was using that double bind on the ankle and stripping his base away, and it was just a frustrating one because he didn't seem to be able to get into that fight. Jake Ellenberger as well, and he stopped him in the first round. He's a spoiler, and he's tough enough and skilled enough to be problematic for anybody he faces. But I think in this fight, he's facing someone that kind of occupies that same space.
Yeah, he's going to have to be tough, and he's a big controlling gorilla, isn't he?
But then you look at Brian Barberena, and I just think to myself, I just think he's a better all round fighter technically, and I think he's stubborn enough and tough enough.
They're both tough. This might just be who can tough it out. For long enough. One thing I liked about Jason Witt, something we talk about a lot, is he beat Carl Williams into that sub. Like that sub was there a while, and he just beat him until he didn't take that early. Yeah, that was relief. That was a relief sub.
Yeah, he's also never lost by decision.
Yeah, right.
He got knocked out against Semmelsberger in 16 seconds. He got stopped by ground and pound against Takashi Sato in 48 seconds. And then you scroll him back and you've got a loss to punches, a rear naked choke, and a guillotine, a loss to punches.
Right.
It's on a shield or nothing at all.
He's not going to die wondering, is he?
No. This is going to be a banger. It's going to be a scrap. I think Brian Barberena is going to be talented enough in the grappling ranges to keep any grappling exchanges moving. Right. And I think his pace is going to be enough to force Jason Witt to want to take him down and control him. Yeah. And I think Brian Barberena, he's just going to scramble and be awkward and difficult. And
that's his MO, isn't it? He's just a difficult brawler with it.
You'll be going back to the end of the first round. You'll be pulling fucking beard hair out. You gum shield. You'll be like, this is not pleasant. This is not pleasant at all. Yeah. And then you've got Sam Alvey, who pretty much occupies the same kind of space in a different weight class.
Yeah, he's skidding out of control at the minute. 5 losses in a draw in the last... You don't see that form very often. You're normally gone by then, aren't you? I don't know what he's... Well,
he moved up a weight class, didn't he? And then he moved back down again.
I moved. Can't cut me. I moved weight class.
That's it. I'm a whole new fight now. I'm a light heavyweight.
He's like a mid to low tier gatekeeper, and he's like, all right, let's throw someone in. Sam, have a crack with this one. See what he's like. Yeah. See if he's any good, because he's not he's the most unathletic person possibly on the roster, but he's not unskilled. Do you know what I mean? There is some level of skill there because he couldn't survive.
There is, yeah.
That long, you know.
Yeah.
The smiling psychopath archetype, I think.
I think that's a smile with pain showing through it, in my opinion. Yeah, that's some fucking Joker smile. That is. Yeah, he's a serial killer.
Kopylov's got to be too sharp for him, right?
You would think so. He was undefeated coming into the UFC, but I don't rate Carl Robertson particularly highly.
It was good that night.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe, but sometimes that's the way, innit? You know, one guy just has his night, and he.
Yeah, I mean, Max Griffin's turned the corner recently.
That leg,
as well.
man, he destroyed that leg, didn't he?
Yeah. I think Kopylov's a very, very dangerous fighter. And you look all the way through his career. I mean, you look at the guys he's fought. If the first guy he fought was 9-12, 7-1, 9-5, 22-19, 15-5, 6-2, 9-2, 19-10. Like, he racked up some experience on the way up, and he stopped everybody. He stopped everybody.
I'd be amazed if this goes any other way than Kopylov.
You know, the other thing I like as well is there are 2 corner stoppages on his record. Like,
imagine, you really beat the shit out of someone if you.
Well, that's what a corner stoppage
says.
Look
at the smile on your face, you fucking psycho.
That's what it means, isn't it? It's like even when your corner man looks at you and you're like,
not going back out there, guys. Do not put me back out there.
Yeah, please no more.
Yeah. Yeah, right. It's got to be. Got to be.
Yeah, I think so. I can't get excited for Sam Alvey.
I'm sure you get
some
some
fucking
mad odds on Sam Alvey,
right?
You?
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet. Okay, this is a really interesting matchup. So Kyung Ho Kang is a very talented fighter, but he always kind of coasts at the level of his opponents.
Yeah.
Which I find really frustrating because you can see more in him. Now, like he got a split decision loss on his record to Ricardo Ramos.
Yeah.
But then you look at the other guys he's beaten. Guido Canetti is a tough individual. Brandon Davis and Liu Pingwen is another really tough, difficult individual. I mean, Casey Kenny beat the fuck out of him with those body kicks. And he's beaten both of them by split decision. And I remember watching, thinking to myself, I feel like he's got more to give here. I feel like he's like, oh, okay, this guy's at like 70% of me, so I'll give you 75% today.
Just enough.
Yeah,
just enough mentality.
But then I look at Rana Yahya, and even with all of the experience he's got, 27, 10 and 1, he's never looked at all dangerous with his striking.
No,
never ever.
He's
such a strong grappler.
We've spoke about running twice, and I think once I picked him and he lost, and then once I picked against him and he won. So I don't have a great record with him.
He's an excellent grappler.
Yeah,
he's an excellent grappler. He's not particularly physical by comparison to some of the other guys in the division, but he does make up for a lot of that with strength. But then you look at someone like Ricky Simone, was able to shut him out. You know, Ricky Simone's not the same kind of grappler, but he's a good enough wrestler to stop him, and he was physical enough to stop him.
Yeah.
And my question is, Kyung Ho Kang, what's his takedown offense look like? And will he kind of sit back and let himself get taken down because he's underestimating the level of Rana Yahya? Because he always looks a bit afraid on the feet, and I can kind of see Kyung Ho Kang just kind of being like, oh, okay, he's not good enough on the feet, and then he ends up like Yahya will shoot for an ankle and he'll end up getting
touches the ground. He's
in a lot of trouble.
Yahya's gonna cause some serious problems, isn't he?
Yeah,
like, it's undeniable the level that he's at.
And it's variety as well, but he's arm triangles are really his thing. Yeah. I remember calling one of his fights in the Middle East. It was the first time. It was next to Ferrari World, and they built like an outdoor event for it.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, the amount of mosquitoes and flies were ridiculous, and all the light was on John and I. And it was just like this swarm.
Bring them in. Bring them all in. Yeah, we'll have them.
Like every mosquito for 5 miles around. But he fought Johnny Bedford, and they both stepped in to throw a punch and headbutted one another.
Oh no!
Yahya went out.
Yeah.
And Bedford went kind of out, and like he was
able to first one to come back round was the winner.
Kind of, yeah. But it was called a no contest. 39 seconds of the first round. But Johnny Bedford, in his head, because he didn't realise he'd been knocked down.
I remember this.
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
It was the same night that Roy Nelson knocked out Nogueira.
Right.
So like there'd been a clash of heads, but he thought he'd landed a right hand and knocked out Rana Yahya, and he wasn't exactly sure what had happened to him. So as he stood up, the moment between the fight being finished and the decision being made, he thought he'd won.
Yeah.
So he's like there, he's spending his win bonus in his hand, and then he goes, declared a no contest, and he was like, what? And then I'm like, remember I'm trying to interview and I'm trying to keep them apart at the same time. Fortunately, they're only little dudes, but Johnny Bedford was
just
fucking
put your hand on their heads.
And Ronnie Yahya was like, I've got no idea what happened. Why are you still trying to fight me? Yeah. Fun times. I think Kyung Ho Kang's going to stuff his takedowns and fuck him up.
That's the smart money, right?
I think the smart money's going the opposite way.
Yeah?
But, yeah, I do. I mean, Ronnie Yahya is a really skilled submission artist with enough of experience to have made it work. My concern is that if he gets his first couple of takedowns stuffed, then he might start to crumble and panic because he'll have to strike for a bit. And then he might start darting at ankles, which we were seeing fucking...
Yeah, well, I know you mean.
It does my head in. Like,
The fuck's his name?
Ryan Hall.
Yeah.
It does my head in. But let's just have a quick look at the stats on this because they might be relevant. So, Ronnie Yahya shoots nearly 3 takedowns on average per 15 minutes. His takedown accuracy is 33%. His takedown defense is 24%, but obviously he's not planning on trying to stop anybody taking him down. Average of 2 submissions per 15 minutes, 2 submission attempts. On the flip side, Kyung Ho Kang's takedown defense is 71%, but he also shoots nearly 2.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, and he also has a good sub average of just over 1 per fight.
Yeah, but that would be a
devastating
mistake
for sure.
to start shooting and trying to get subs on Ronnie Yahya.
For sure. But Kyung
That's
Ho
not
Kang's got
that's not as
experience.
much as I thought from Ronnie.
What, as far as...
Yeah, like what? So you say one takedown attempt per round?
Pretty much.
So 3 per 50,
Yeah,
and he's only hitting 30% of them.
Yeah, but then you bear in mind, he's got 27 wins on his record, and most of those guys, he only took them down once.
Yeah, oh, right, okay. So
You know
if he
what I
does
mean?
get you, you've pretty much fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone's shooting an average of about 3, I mean, it's 2.89 takedowns per 15 minutes on UFC stats. So if you round it up to 3, he's shooting once a round, which is quite a nice stat to have because if it goes a distance, most likely he's going to shoot once and he won't have to shoot again each round. You know?
Yeah, true.
The thing I look at more than anything, though, is the takedown accuracy of one compared to the takedown defense of the other. And the takedown accuracy of Kang's 59%. So his grappling ability is up there regardless of whether he's countering or... whether he's attacking or defending. I think he's going to have a strong enough judo and clinch base to stuff Ronnie Yahya's takedowns most of the time. Let's have a look what he's got. He's got a rear naked choke to Ruto Ishihara, triangle over Guido Canetti, and then arm triangles, couple more rear naked chokes, arm bars. Like he's got a variety of submissions on his record as well as a lot of experience, 17-8. I think he's going to be aware of how good Ronnie Yahya is, and I think he's going to be physical enough to stop him taking him down.
Yeah, Kyung Ho Kang for me.
I think so, and I do think that Ronnie Yahya is probably the smarter money because he's an excellent technician, but I don't know. Sometimes physicality makes a difference, and I think it might in this fight. Okay. Gloria De Paula against Cheyenne Bays.
Yeah. Cheyenne's got quite... If you put her amateur record in with her pro record, she's got quite a big record, doesn't she?
Yeah. Yeah. She had a rough fight in her UFC debut, though, didn't she? I mean, it was competitive, but then it was a bit nasty, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There's a spit gate. But I don't know if she did or not. She was like, no, I didn't.
Yeah,
did you? I can't remember. I never watched it back, but she just... It was... She kept getting her scarf hold. She just had her.
That's her position.
It's just it. Yeah. It was like, well, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
It's up to you to do something about it. What do you want me to do? Not do it because you can't get out. But she didn't cause that much damage with it, did she? But
no.
She was. It was just. She
kept getting stuck in there, didn't she?
Stuck and couldn't get out. She was sort of doing the right things, right? She was moving the right way, and a couple of times she sort of popped out the back and what have you. But it was always with like 5 seconds to go, and then the next round just started the same way.
It was kind of frustrating, and you know she's fighting someone that's out of the same camp as Charles Oliveira. Like Diego Lima's shootbox, they're good, well-rounded fighters. You know,
I think this will be more. This will be more of a fun fight. They'll have a crack at each other standing.
A bit chaotic.
Yeah, they'll definitely have a crack at each other standing. Right?
I think it'd be predominantly a striking match, but I also think De Paula has got the ability to take this one down.
Right.
I think if, especially seeing how Cheyenne Bays got stuck so many times in a position where, like De Paula would be looking at that and thinking, I don't know why she's getting stuck in that position. You know what it's like? Sometimes someone's just got that physical build where they can put themselves in a position. Like Alexei Olenek loves that position.
Yeah.
He loves that position.
Yeah.
But most people wouldn't be able to control someone there. Whereas I think Montserrat Conejo, she's like thick.
Thick,
And,
she?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's short and thick, and she was able to position her weight quite well. I think,
Especially if that's her thing, you know, she just rehearses it, and you get more and more confidence in it. And, you know, what is the 2 or 3 ways to sort of get out of that position? And, you know, once she's covered off those exits, it's like, you know, we're good here.
Yeah. Height and reach advantage for De Paula as well. 2 inches in height, 4 inches in reach. Slightly higher striking output for Cheyenne Bays. Obviously, it's only based on one fight, this. But
Yeah. De Paula was good in the Contender Series, wasn't she? She's got nice head kicks, wicked body shot.
I think it's a pick-em.
Knee strikes in that. Is it Macias fight?
Yes.
She was.
Pauline
I thought
Macias.
she was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's close, isn't it? I think
It's a bit of a pick-em, this one.
Yeah, it might be a decent fight.
Yeah. It'd be a good 15 minutes, this one. I can't see it being finished.
I think buys might. Flip
going the
coin.
opposite way.
Yeah, flip. Oh, there you go. We'll go the opposite way. I'll
I'm
go
going the
buys. You go to Paula.
Okay, I'll go to Paula.
Yeah, Paula.
I mean, she's got a solid team behind her. She's got good people to train with. I know V's trained at that gym as well. She's always.
Well, there you go. You've got inside information going on here.
Not
That's
at
what's
all.
happening.
No. Just, you know. Okay, co-main event.
Yeah.
You know I'm picking on this one.
Yeah, you like them, don't you?
I'm big on the. I like both the Daukus brothers, but Chris Daukus.
Yeah, but this is a step up compared to what he's faced.
It is, but then Abdurakhimov's been around a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's not a good fighter, but you know what you're getting with him. Like,
I think he's good, man.
Yeah, but
he's ranked. He's number 7. He's ranked.
Yeah,
at
but
7. He's picked off some good names along the way. He doesn't move.
He has got some good names on his record. I will give him that. I mean,
he doesn't move like a heavyweight, man.
He doesn't, but then again, neither does Chris Daukus.
No, in a different way, right?
But yeah, see, I would say Abdurakhimov's probably got the wrestling advantage out of the two, but Chris Daukus has got much better striking, and he's got. I'm sure he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now.
Okay.
Like, and I remember speaking to him because he's a police officer as well.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to him, and he was like, "I've not even needed to really use my ground game yet. Like, I've just not needed it because he doesn't move like a heavyweight, even though he's 6'3". He's only 234. Yeah, he's not massive. He just moves so well, and he hits hard as well.
Oh, mate, it's a bit of a weird reference, but there's a guy that used to train a rugby player who used to be a similar shape and punches just like him. It's just like kind of like awkward.
Yeah.
But he used to bang people out all over the city. He's just like dormant, just sleeping left, right, and centre.
Yeah, he has got really fast hands. Chris Daukus has. I was really impressed with his fight against Parker Porter, and you know, against Nascimento as well. I mean, that was a short fight.
This is a great fight for Chris.
Yeah,
for like that where he sits in the standings and stuff. It's a really good fight, and you know he should be pretty high on confidence. He's going good, isn't he?
I think this is a great fight for him. And I know I understand what you're saying about Abdurakhimov, but I just kind of feel like we've seen what we're going to get out of Abdurakhimov now.
Yeah,
like he's
gone over the peak.
He's 1981.
Shit, he's older than us.
Whereas Chris Daukus is 1989.
Yeah,
like he's got some
makes
time.
a big difference.
It makes a big difference. There's an additional
those
8 years.
Those years make a big difference.
Yeah, they're both 6 foot apparently, and both 76 inch reach. I don't think Abdurakhimov's that tall. Chris Daukus.
In my
is
head,
6'4",
Chris Daukus is
6'5".
bigger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see on the face-off where they're both 6'3", and one of them's like that. As always, someone don't know how to use a tape
I'm staying
measure.
with Shamil.
Of course you are.
You
Chris
go
Daukus' strikes landed per minute.
And the loser chugs 3 craft beers.
Is that right?
Supplied by Beer 52.
I'd be scrapping. I'd be ready for a boxing session. I'd be ready for. Okay, let me just give you a little bit of context here. Cheyenne Bays strikes landed per minute 4.1.
Oh, we're doubling back round.
Hang on. I'm just coming back to a point.
Is this because I said you had inside information and now you're just proving that it's nothing to do with it?
No, not at all. Not at all. We're not focused on this fight. I'm just using it as an example of 2 women that are straw weight, right?
Right.
5'3", 5'5", straw weights. Cheyenne Bays, 4.1 strikes per minute. Gloria de Paula, 3.3 strikes per minute. Bear with me. Shamil Abdurakhimov, 2.45 strikes per minute. Chris Daukus, 11.78 strikes per
That's
minute.
a lot of volume coming back at you, isn't it?
From a big boy that
Yeah.
can crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not a weight difference in this one. UFC stats have got him at 250 pounds. So he's and Abdurakhimov at 235. They're going to be around the same size. Abdurakhimov's got the wrestling advantage, but I don't think he wants to take Chris Daukus down because I think Daukus can reverse him, butterfly hooks, get top position, and pound the hell out of him.
So we'll be standing. Right.
And I think most likely Chris Daukus knocks him out.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Schmidt been knocked out before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just really impressed. I've just been really impressed with Chris Daukus all the way through his
anytime we
career
mention
so
either
far.
of them, you like them.
I think his brother's got a harder time because he's at middleweight.
Yeah.
And you know, the advantages that Chris Daukus has got is that he's fast and he covers distance well. His brother's got those advantages as well, but they're not advantages at middleweight because everyone's like that.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Main
he's
event.
been ground and pounded a couple of times, hasn't he? Derek
Of course
Lewis,
he has.
Curtis Blades. Blades sort of smashed through him, didn't he? He was just a level above.
Yeah.
Yeah. We shall see.
Okay.
Main event.
Main event.
But do you remember when Uriah came out of the tough house? He was like, he was going to be the best thing that's ever happened in the division.
Yeah.
The hype around it.
Dana kept jerking off over that
Didn't he?
spinning kick that he landed. He's like, oh my God, I think we might have found Anderson Silva and Bruce Lee's love child. He was like so excited about it.
But it was crazy when he came on the scene. Now it's unfair on him to put those expectations on him, but he feels disappointing because of the amount of hype that was sort of around him. And the reality is he's had a bit of a mixed career, isn't he? He's had some solid. He's strung a couple of solid wins together. He's had a couple of streaks where he's lost some fights. It was horrendous last when seeing him with a leg break, wasn't it?
Well, this is really not helping him, I don't think, because he's already got a chip on his shoulder. He's already a bit of a dickhead, and that is just kind of generally his like the perspective of people in the MMA world.
Oh, really?
Especially the media, he's a bit of a dickhead.
How is it?
Like he's got an attitude. He talks down to people. Like, I mean, he's blocked me on Instagram. I've got no fucking idea why, but I've always got that
because you keep
vibe
calling
off
him a
him.
dickhead.
Well, no, maybe.
Well, the truth is truth.
I've just always kind of got that vibe off him. I've seen him be rude to people.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'm not. There's a referee who obviously are friends of the show. He's got a good story about him, which I'm sure he'll say one day. But I don't know. He's just always had this kind of. I don't know. Like, remember when you were filming with him? Where were you? Was he Stockholm or something? And he was like a guest fighter, and you're going to a football stadium.
Oh yeah.
Like, I remember saying to these boys, just watch him. He can be a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
Like he just can be a bit of a dickhead.
No, I did not know that.
But the problem is that because he acts like that generally is how people feel towards him, and then
he's got a chip because people don't like him.
and then he's got a chip because people don't like him.
Trying not being a dick.
Well, exactly. But then on the flip side to that, like when he beat Musashi, for example, right? He knocked Musashi out with the spinning back kick and was never given the credit for it. And he wasn't given the credit for it because people know that it was like Musashi level changed as you threw this kick. Most times you throw that kick, it's not going to work. But he felt that disrespect and he internalized it. And then when he came back, because he rematched Musashi a bit later on, like he picks up a loss to Whittaker and a loss to Brunson, then he rematched Musashi. And his whole attitude going into that fight was like, you never believed I could beat him in the first place, so I'm going to beat him again. And it was like, that just kind of crept into his performance. Yeah. I've always felt like he's gotten in his way. Because he's a good fighter. He's a technically very, very skilled striker. He's very precise with his striking. He's tough and he's durable. You know, he reads the fight well. But then he's already got this kind of aura, this stigma attached to him in the MMA community. And then the UFC go and put him against Anderson Silva, who no one likes to see get beaten up anymore. No. And then he goes and fucking breaks Chris Weidman's leg in the first 17 seconds. It's almost like it's difficult for the MMA fans to get behind him. Yeah, he made it difficult, and now it's not helping at all.
Yeah.
So it's like he's like swimming upstream against someone, and now he's fighting Sean Strickland, who is equally as... I cannot get excited about Sean Strickland.
No, he seems to win, and I don't really know why. Like, he doesn't seem great.
Right?
He just zombies forward, and he's obviously tough. Like, he's a tough dude, and he's quite efficient with... He doesn't throw a lot wasted. He just sort of, you know... I don't know what the stats are, but I would assume he would have relatively low output, but relatively high accuracy. That's what
he's actually got a higher output, but he's more of a volume striker than Uriah, whereas Uriah is more of a precision striker. But even Uriah's striking rate 3.3, but Strickland's 5.1. His accuracy is lower than Uriah's by 10%, more than 10%.
He twitches and buys a lot of feints and stuff all the time, but then doesn't necessarily always get caught by them.
No, I've blanked his fight with Jotkar, blanked it out of my head. I honestly, like most of the time,
I do not have space for this.
Literally, most of the time, I can recall parts of a fight. I can remember like the feeling I had when I was watching the fight. I just tuned that one out because Jotko's kind of similar.
Yeah,
like I want to see your face change. I want to see you go after it. I want to see you grit your teeth and try and murder somebody.
Yeah, they just followed each other. They sort of followed each other around the cage. Like no one cut anyone off at all. It was just like I'm just going to keep following you until I sort of land a little something.
Like fucking clockwork mice. Just wind them up and watch them move in a circle and.
I mean, I guess the problem he's got with Uriah is Uriah can knock you out in one shot. You know,
but Uriah can also be backed up against the fence and then start getting angry at you because you're pushing him back and he doesn't have space to throw kicks.
Right,
like he gets pissed off at his opponents and frustrated because he doesn't have the space to do what he wants to do, and that's exactly what Strickland does.
It's not a great main event, is it?
It's fucking ugly, is what it is. I'm not a fan of either of them. But there are some great fights further down the card.
Yeah, I mean, there's the guys down the card just aren't names enough to put as a main event, are they? You would have to replace it if you're going to do anything.
Yeah, I'm way more excited for the co-main event.
Yeah,
mainly because it's Chris Daukus. But then I look down.
To be honest, I'm probably more excited about Adashev and Benoit than I am about the main event.
Just flip the card.
And that's free.
Just flip it upside down. Just flip the card upside down. Let's do that. I mean, we kick off with a good. Yeah, you got Phil Rowe, Ryan Cosce. Trevin Jones is going to be coming, blazing it up, and knocking people out left, right, and centre.
Yeah, he can do it now. He can get a blazing fight now. He's all good.
Of course he can. Imagine how annoying that is.
Yeah, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Life is so stupid.
Like I am going to do a war room on the whole Strickland fight.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I'll get into it a little bit, but my overall feeling is that Uriah is going to get closed up against the fence and feel frustrated that he doesn't have the space to work, so he doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then Strickland does enough to...
Decision, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
All right. There's not a way in the world I'm waking up at 3 o'clock to watch that. Not a way.
No. Well, where is it? Where are we? Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Strickland got that win over Brendan Allen, stopped him in the second round. But yeah, he's always kind of felt like he's a bit caught between weight classes as well, Strickland.
Yeah,
you know, like you stand him next to Tom Breeze and he looked quite small, but then he beat Tom by a split decision, which I also thought was odd. Yeah, I just can't get excited.
Not particularly exciting,
is it? Nothing.
It's a good card. It's worth tuning into. It's just the main event's probably it's one of the weaker ones on the whole card, isn't it? Really.
But then we say that, and Uriah Hall might land a spinning back kick and knock him out.
Of course it will.
Yeah, but I hope he does because then we won't have to watch 25 minutes of it. But Chris Daukus. I'm excited for Chris Daukus. That's
all
a hell of a fight.
about the Daukus brothers.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, well, good to be back, my friend.
Right, isn't it?
Yeah, don't forget to check out Beer52. Use the code OP at the checkout and you will get your first box of craft beers for the shipping rate, which is $5.95. and then you'll be subscribed, and you can pick up 8 different craft beers per month, plus some snacks if Dan doesn't get his mitts in there and steal them. And there's a magazine in there as well, I think. The Craft Beer Magazine.
That is a good quality product as well, that magazine.
They're not messing around.
See,
good
look at this. He's like,
look at them, look. They just see the branding and they're like,
speaking the craft beer language to these raptors.
Yeah.
Speaking the craft beer language.
We're never going to see any of these craft beers.
No, we're never.
They're gone.
We're never. Oh, you're doing a... you're doing a sponsored run.
Oh, yeah, I am, yeah.
Yes.
Along the Lake District in Keswick.
You're doing 15K
yeah.
across the Lake District in Keswick, which is a beautiful area of the world.
We'll put the link in the bio, and then people can
it's
sponsor you.
for,
Yeah.
A charity called Liberation Through Education.
Liberation Through Education. I was reading about this. It's explain to me what it is.
So education isn't free in Liberia.
Yeah.
So it's £250 to send one kid to school for a year's worth of education.
Okay.
No.
It's £250 to send a kid to school, and you're trying to raise you're trying to raise a grand, aren't you?
Yeah.
We can do better than that. Come on,
it's only 4 kids,
right?
Come on, we can do better than that.
You sent 3 to school.
Yeah, I have to. Well,
it cost you more than 250 quid.
So glad I don't live in Liberia.
You got the money for that. You have to start selling some merino off.
Yeah,
you have to start
that's where yours have gone. What do you mean on eBay?
Yeah, we'll put the link anyway in it. It's a donation link for young Jamie Raptor.
Yeah,
so
get him running.
Give him a couple of quid. Even if you just want to go to Keswick and throw them at him 50 pence pieces as he's running.
Just skim him.
I think that's what we're going to do. We've got £100 in 50 pence pieces. We're just going to pelt him at the finish line.
Good stuff. It's good to be back, man. I enjoyed that. It's been it feels like a long time in it, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
good to get back on the radio.
Nice one.
Good stuff.
Thanks everybody.
See you next week.
See you next time.